Around with the American flag. It was a great sight, a great sight.
And grown men were thanking us and crying because the Japs had really committed atrocities to the Guamanian people, the Chamorros. So I really got a sense of that we have accomplished something good for mankind.
The Americans continue to drive forward. The Japanese defend from a series of higher ground strongholds in the far north of the island.
They knew that the battle was lost, but they weren't going to surrender, and they just fought right till the last man.
And the fighting was very heavy at that point. There was a lot of hand-to-hand combat because as we approached them, they were beginning to run out of supplies and, I guess, running out of ammunition.
The Japanese commander, Takeshi Takashina, has already died in the battle. His replacement, General Hideyoshi Obata, writes,
"We have only our bare hands to fight with. The holding of Guam has become hopeless. Our souls would defend the island to the very end."
Day 21. Organized Japanese resistance ends. The next day, General Obata commits suicide. The Americans eventually declare the island secure, but for months afterward, mopping up operations continue. Up to 80 Japanese a day are killed.
When we finally secured the island, then we went back and made a complete mop-up across the whole island to pick up any stragglers that we could find.
Eventually, the exhausted Marine and Army units leave the island.
I never thought it was ended. Not until we got aboard that ship.
When I left the island with my comrades and we got on the LCIs and headed out to sea to the troop ship, we thanked the good Lord for protecting us for that length of time.
The battle for the island has cost nearly 8,000 U.S. casualties. The young soldiers become battle-hardened as they leave behind many of their friends.
After you've seen so much combat, you start to create a hard shell. And the first island you invade, you've developed friends, and then a lot of your friends will be killed. By the time you go on your second one, you say to yourself, I'm not going to make any more friends.
For each American killed in action, 11 Japanese died. The cost was high but worthwhile for the men that fought here.
We were rescuing Americans who had heroically and who suffered and were beheaded and were treated cruelly, and we rescued them.
That's why it's important. That's why Guam should get more recognition. It was the first battle we got American land back.
The Japanese never officially surrender. In 1972, nearly 30 years after the recapture of Guam, a Japanese soldier concedes defeat. This remarkable episode illustrates the sheer tenacity of the enemy faced on Guam. The capture of this Pacific island signals the end of the bloody campaign in the Mariana Islands. Prince Narihiko Higashikuni was to remark, "The war was lost when the Marianas were taken away from Japan." Guam was soon to become what far-sighted leaders had envisioned. A base for B-29s in their bombing offensive against the enemy war machine. And an American bastion in the Central Pacific from which the Allies could push toward Japan and victory.